Hi everyone, Cherie here. Today I'm working with the Felicity Jane November 2017 Autumn Kit, and I've got a photo of my family having a family day out, and the title of this one is going to be Grateful, which is one of the die cuts out of the die cut pack. Okay, so first I am just creating my background. I've got some of the geometric pattern paper. I've cut that down a little and that's stuck across the top of my background cardstock. And I'm adding a little line of stitching across that before I move on to the rest. Then I've got some of the solid colour cardstock with that scalloped edge down the bottom with some more white cardstock on top of that, and I've got one of the branding strips which I'm just trimming down and will position across the very bottom of the page. So I'll just make sure I get that nice and centered. That's on there now. And I can now stick down that central piece as well. So just using my tape runner on the back there. And I didn't get this very well in the center, so I'm just grabbing my T-square ruler, making a few adjustments to get this into the center of the page. Making sure I get it nice and straight as well. Just checking that bottom edge and the other side too. Alright, so now I'm ready to add some more stitching to this. I'm just going to stitch around that central white cardstock piece and across the branding strip along the bottom as well. So now I'm just roughing up the edges of all those pieces of paper and cardstock, just adding some nice texture to the page. Just looks nicer having that little bit of shadowing there. Working my way all the way around so I don't miss any spots, and then I'll be ready to start adding all my other little bits and pieces. So my photo is going roughly there, and I've got that large die cut piece which is going at the top, but I'm just using it to get my spacing right so that I'm not covering anybody up in the photo. So that's getting stuck down, and then I'm going to grab some messy thread to go underneath that die cut. So just peeling off the backing there. You can see my messy threads there in place, and now my die cut can go on there as well. Just being very careful not to cover Aiden up in that right hand side of the photo there. Alright, so next I've got one of the flares and a rubber word from the kit as well, and I'm just layering those up. I've got a glue dot behind the flare and a foam square behind one end of that rubber word, just so that it all sits nicely on the page. So that's stuck on there now, nice and straight. And now I'm going to grab another one of the little rubber pieces, and it's that little yellow plus sign or Swiss cross. And I will use another one of these elsewhere on the page a little later as well, just to add a little bit of yellow there. There's a touch of yellow in that floral die cut at the top. So I've got that Swiss cross going just next to the flare there, and that other one you'll see a little bit later. Next I've got my title going on, and I've already put some foam squares on the back of this one too, so it'll have a little bit of dimension as well. And then I've got another pretty little floral die cut to just tuck in under that left hand side there. Next I've got these two banner pieces, so I'm tucking that one under the title there, and then that other little banner piece will go just to the right of that, and I'll just use my fingers to just curl up the very bottom of that banner piece. Again, just adding a little bit of dimension there. So next I've got one of these really cute stripy buttons that were in the kit this month. I absolutely love these buttons. Couldn't resist using one. And I will stitch that down a little later, but first I'm just adding my journaling strips, and these are all sort of different lengths, just trying to fit them around that banner piece that hangs down there. So I'm not too worried how straight these are or whether they line up. I'm just plonking them down onto the page. Alright, so next I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So I've got the Blessed stamp and the one that says All the Feels. So first of all I'm going to use that Blessed stamp, and I'm going to put that right down the bottom underneath the journaling there. So I'm just reaching for some scrap paper to do a little bit of test stamping first. I I think my ink pad's starting to dry out a little because I had a little bit of trouble getting some good coverage today, but we get there in the end, and now that's ready to go on. Alright, so next I've got that cute little All the Feels stamp, and I'm just going to do some messy stamping just to the right of the journaling there. So there we go. A couple of times there, just some messy stamping. And next I'm going to just reach for my date stamp, and I've decided to grab a little tiny tag out of my stash, and I'll just ink up the date, the month and the year on the date stamp to put onto that little tag there. And I'm just going to play around with where I might put that, just grabbing or deciding which is the best position. But first I've decided to stitch that button down first before I attach the tag, so I'll just put that aside in a moment. I'm still just fiddling about making sure that's where I want to put it. Okay, so I'll put that aside, and I'm going to add that other little rubber charm. It's that other little yellow Swiss cross that's going to go just above that button there on the banner. So that's going on there now. So to attach the button, I'm just using my paper piercer to poke 2 little holes through my cardstock. So just carefully getting those holes in the right position, going all the way through the paper. And then I'm going to grab my embroidery floss, just some plain white, thread it onto a nice big needle, and I'm going up through the bottom and then down through the top, and then I'm just going to simply tie a double knot at the back of the page, and that secures it nicely. So a double knot there, and then I'll just trim those ends off, and that's good to go. Okay, so all I've got now is that tag to hook onto that button, and I'll use a little foam square to just make sure it doesn't move around and cover anything else up. So that's it for today's page. I hope you've enjoyed seeing it come together. Please let me know if you've got any questions down below, and I'll pop a link to Felicity Jane below as well. So I'll be back again very soon with more to share. Bye for now.